folks, and welcome to another Saturday morning Samoflange. I'm Matt.
I'm Benjamin.
Here we are.
Here we are again.
But here's the deal. Let me put this in context. Okay, you're listening to this video probably 2 weeks after the event took place. We are talking about this event the day after. Yeah. Actually, the day of.
Oh, you're right.
If you think about it.
Because we started this game. This was a board game night.
Yeah, we had a board game night.
With
it began last night.
two or three other board games that we went through.
Yeah, we went through three
games.
games.
And this one was supposed to be a quick and easy finale, right?
What had happened? Let's back up.
What had happened was, let's back up. Stating with the theme of this time travel. Yeah, okay. Let's start over again, because that's what you do.
Yeah, one of my oldest people from my board game group gave me a board game that he wanted me to learn how to play, or teach him how to play. And I was like, okay. So I looked over. I knew exactly what it was. I'd heard about it before. I have no interest in it. It's a legacy game called Time Stories.
And you're not a big fan of legacy games.
I despise legacy games because a lot of legacy games. And
first of all, tell us what that is.
I'm sorry.
And tell me why you despise them.
A legacy game is a game that you can only play once. Now, true, you will get several plays of that game before you have to put it down. Why you can only play once, it's a mystery. And once you unlock the mystery, if you play it again, you know exactly where to go and exactly what to do.
The mystery has
the mystery is gone.
You've seen the movie already.
Yeah, the mystery is gone.
Yeah.
And besides a few skilled rolls, and that'd be it. But the thing is, though, there is no challenge anymore, and you have to literally.
And this is a common theme among board games.
And I'll say why this one's actually
for
unique,
legacy games, I guess.
Because I've been thinking a lot about this one. But I'm going to talk about the difference between this legacy game and other legacy games, because I was just talking to a friend of mine.
Okay. So, and to be clear, we said screwed the top 5 this week.
Yeah.
We're not doing that for Saturday morning Samoflange. We have to talk about this game.
At 3:30 in the morning, I almost grabbed them in here.
It blew our mind.
Earlier this morning, I almost grabbed them in here the podcast.
Oh my gosh. Okay, sorry.
So
we got
this morning. So
let's start over. Stick with the theme.
All right. So 9 months ago, he gave it to me. So I knew what it was. I looked it over. I was like, oh, no. And he came back and said, hey, we're going to play. I said, yeah. Hey, look, man, give me a little bit longer. I said, it's a legacy game. I'm not really into those, and that takes a very long time. So we can only play like maybe an hour of it, but I'm not going to get involved with that. And he goes, okay, well, we can do that. I said, yeah, but just another time. And I really was hoping he'd just take it off and just go away.
Sure.
Not him go away, him stay, but the game go away.
The game go away.
Because
because you're not a fan. You've never met a legacy game you like so far.
Look at that game. Be honest with me. It doesn't look aesthetically pleasing when you're looking at it.
No, it doesn't really.
It's
just a solid white box with white cylinders.
White cylinders, very white architectural design on the board. Mm-hmm. Very boring.
It's got a very clean sort of tech Minority Report kind of look.
I know what they were doing there, but it's boring. There's nothing there for the eyes. It's white. It's white with some lines drawn here, stenciled lines of some kind of computer screen or whatever. But you're not pulled into this. You don't know what the words mean or anything. And Nexus 1 or Codex 2 or whatever. We didn't know where half the things went on the board anyway when they were talking to us. So
that's a good point.
The thing is, it just looks awful. I watched a few reviews. You can't do reviews without spoilers. I mean, you can do a review without spoilers, but they all are the same. They're very generic. And I was like, okay, well, it's not that hard to do, but listening to it, it sounded boring. But to be honest, everyone was talking about how this was incredible. And I was like, yeah, well, you have to, because you're a board game reviewer. They probably gave you a copy for free. Or most people like games that I don't like.
That's true.
I'm very different.
You're very different on your board game reviews.
And that's another reason why people like me about because I look at those lost games or forgotten games that no one talks about, and I talk about how wonderful they are.
Board games developers don't just pay you to give these reviews?
No. No. I've received one game I've kept. The rest of them I've thrown away after I reviewed them. I even I have badmouthed every game.
Everything
except for one that I've been given.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
One game I liked and I kept.
Wow,
I didn't badmouth
you're harsh, man.
I am, but I'm not gonna. And I tell them that. I say, you can give me a game, but I'm gonna be honest. We want your honesty, and then they disagree with my honesty.
But I asked that on purpose, just so we could set up the crucible that is Matt Wilkins' board game.
So this Time Stories comes out, and I was like, okay, well, it'd been a while since I had him over, and
so here we are again.
Few times,
he's asking about
and
it
then
again.
he asked again. He said, hey man, you still have Time Stories? I went, yeah, it was stuck up on my shelf. I was just in the land of forgottenness because I wanted to give it back to him, but I didn't want to be stuck with it. But I didn't know how to give it back to him if I had to play a stupid round of it. And so I said, you know what? That's wrong. He gave me it. It's been 8 months, 9 months. I need to do it. So I was going to make sure we got some good games played in first.
Yep.
before we did this boring
and
trudge.
We played a couple really fun ones.
Played some fun ones, had some good times. And then I said, okay. So I broke this out, and I told him, I said, look, we're going to just do one run so you can kind of see the base. And then, you can go home, take it with your family, finish it off with some other people. Because,
So most legacy games are like that, though, too, where they're just one, you do multiple runs through it? Okay.
Yeah, it's multiple failed runs with different scenarios.
This was my first legacy game. I've never played anything like this before.
And so my first legacy game too. I've seen them and I don't like them.
All right,
I'll tell you why in a minute. Why this one's different.
Sure.
But so we sat down, we played it. Started off, you were reading them. We got in our characters. We said, hey, we'll go all in on this.
Yeah, it's got some great narration. It's kind of hokey at first.
And this is and by the way, we're not doing any spoilers.
No spoilers at all.
We've decided no spoilers at all. It seems like most of the board game world does no spoilers when even you're looking for them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But good on them, and I'll explain why.
Every other episode of Saturday Morning Samoflange expects spoilers. No matter what we're talking about,
this
top
one's not
five,
spoiler. This is going to be
straight
weird.
up spoiler. This
because we have so much respect for the game now.
Absolutely, that's exactly what I was going to say.
I know we have some people here that don't necessarily play board games that listen to the channel.
Doesn't matter.
But I'm going to tell you this.
Keep listening.
And this is a game you're going to have to experience. It really is. Okay, so we get the music going, which happened to be really good because it starts off where there is a. Yeah, this is not because this is the introduction.
This isn't a spoiler. This is an introduction. So it sets off.
There's a phonographic record playing,
right.
And so I start off with the music because I know the exact soundtrack that has
exactly
an old phonograph record repeating itself on record, and it's getting distorted as it goes along. It's Halloween by Two Steps from Hell,
right?
And we just listened to that whole soundtrack, but it was so weird that. It has the gloomy music as we're entering new buildings, or it has the creepy music as we're going down tunnels, or as we're getting to creepier moments.
And I think we didn't even really expect that because of the time travel futuristic looking, set, the white coloring and then the design. It didn't have any kind of like aesthetic, but it suddenly jumped us into a new atmosphere.
I'll tell you why. First off, they give you very generic looking. I say generic. They give you a crystal white and steel looking set to look at. Those cards, the future, right? You're in those pods, and it kind of matches the board. Kind of gets lost there, and you have to go through and read each one to get all together.
And it's a bit of
it's just a setup.
Slog,
it's game setup.
Right.
It's just game setup.
Game setup.
All set up. And then
I was narrating for us, and I was choosing like futuristic, like Edie from Halo voices and different narrations and such and whatever.
And the whole story is you're going back in time to stop an event,
right?
And you have your orders. You're in the early 1900s or is it 1800s?
It was early 1900s.
Early 1900s.
1920s.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. It was 1920s, and you find a receptacle, which is a human being you're going to possess. Your time travel is going to possess. And these are all different. Now, again, this is no spoilers here. And we didn't realize this till after we played the game. I don't know if you've realized this either. Some of those special abilities I was talking about
were the characters that we could choose from?
Yeah, the characters we did not choose. And I was kind of reading what they did.
Yeah.
I know what some of them are for. Some of them are for very quick. There's a lot of challenges, very specific challenges.
Parts of
some trickier than others, but some are very easy. For instance, and I do not believe this is spoilers, because it's on the cards. One of the characters you can play with.
Okay.
Of course, Nick's character.
Introduction.
Nick's character.
His character
cocaine.
was
He was a cocaine addict.
You're right. Yeah,
he had cocaine addict. And that would have come in handy in one of the challenges if you had cocaine.
Right.
So, now you don't have to. You don't have to have that character
not at all.
to win this game. There's always other ways to get items and stuff that you need. You're going through the past and you're trying to unsolve this mystery, but you have to do it by unlocking places in the room, or in the or finding new items for new clues and stuff, or items to use to open up a new clue or something. All right. But anyway, there was a really, really hard challenge, and we tried it every time we died. We died several times, and we tried every time we died just to see, but it was just impossible. It's one roll challenge, and that's it. There's a character, if you recall, that I told you about, that can set the die only on that particular type of challenge.
But MVP award-winning moment right there.
And that's the only character I bet that can do it.
Wow.
Do you know what I'm saying now? You know
I
what
do.
I'm saying?
I think I know what
And
you're
again,
talking
we're
about.
not doing any spoilers here, but I just realized that's because I thought, man, that isn't
How
odd.
very specific.
Because I think that's an odd one. You only get to put.
there were several.
Because her special ability was you only get to place, and only on these type roles, you only get to. You can set this face.
This
And I
one
went,
thing.
But why would that matter?
That's
and
interesting.
then I made a joke. I said, "Oh, it was like talking to people, right? Getting to know people
Sure.
was the
Glibness.
ability, glibness." And I said, oh, "I guess this person looks good, and that's why she can talk to people."
Yeah.
No,
That's what
it's there for that
You're
one.
right. Because
itty bitty challenge.
was there a recommended players? Because I do remember there were just the three of us.
No, because there's this one adventure. You can play any of those players.
Because it was just the three of us, and I
Yeah.
remember the setup to the mission said that if you have only 3 receptacles, you know 3 people playing, then you start on this time instead of this time. Like so, there's a certain amount of time that you have.
I believe we got extra. No, we got less time probably allowed.
I don't
'Cause
remember.
think more players would give you more time because that'd be more people moving around the board.
I don't remember now.
Either way,
but the
but
point
yes.
is that the setup was different based on the number of players.
scales.
And I do remember thinking that I was wondering if there was a recommended amount of people that should be playing it because of the level of challenge that there was in it.
That one scales. You can play with 2 players too.
Okay.
But the thing is that I was very impressed with is that each one of those characters means something. And I think even though we couldn't find the meaning for all of them, I thought of the meaning for a few of them. I don't want to spoil anything, but I see this one being useful to this one being useful to this case. And I was thinking, huh. And then, I was like, I bet they're all like that.
It was pretty great. It's distinct characters that are very cool.
Yes.
And I played a big bruiser, and he had no glibness at all, so I couldn't talk to anybody, but I could punch anybody in the mouth, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they all have a disadvantage too.
Yeah,
to
mine
play.
has a disadvantage because you want to spread out. It saves time. Unfortunately, and time is what you have. Time's a round marker.
That's what I was going to say. Is that's your enemy in the game?
My character couldn't split up.
Right.
Which I slowed us down. I was always stuck with someone because if he's by himself, he gets to worry a lot, and he takes slower. He goes slower.
Right.
So it eats up more time when he's by himself. And so I kind of handicapped myself. Nick's character was handicapped. Your character, so every character has a little hamstrung, thing, which I like. Then no one's perfect. They have this really cool ability, but oh man, that sucks that they do this. But remember, we're inhabiting or possessing
normal humans,
insane people.
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, insane
because we're
people.
entering an insane asylum trying to figure this out. Now, again, no spoilers here, but this is why this game sings. The first time through, we all died. We all died. The things,
and I think we thought that was sort of the end of it. But
we said, okay, well, let's go through it again.
Yeah, there was a hook. There was enough hook in us.
Well, there was enough time too, and the instructions. It wasn't quite midnight. I said we can do another one.
Yeah.
And so the instructions were. And by the way, if we'd ended there, I thought like, well, that's all right. The first play is that's all right. I think we've seen what we can see.
Yeah.
And then
because that was the trick there, right off the bat. The second time through, we already said, okay, we know what to do now. Like, let's just do it again and see how it goes.
There's different type of fail cards you have to grab when you fail,
right?
And you do them in color order, and it tells you this one, this one, this one, this one if you fail this time. And so I picked up the first one, and it gave us instructions, but it gives a weird instruction that we were to put back a certain card with an icon on it. And we looked, and we couldn't find that icon anywhere.
Like, where is this?
I found out what that is. Remember, as we go through the second time, we went into a whole different adventure.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, new rooms. I mean, new things. And we were like, wait, what?
Because
why didn't we do this the first time?
Right.
What happened?
We nearly died the second time. We were almost dead, and we were like, this is entirely different
also
now.
This, we thought we had made it all around the asylum.
Yeah.
And we thought we'd made it everywhere. And we hadn't.
Not even close.
And the second playthrough was completely different.
Totally different.
And we were shocked.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started noticing those icons. Because the reason why if you die the first time, they don't want you, you're really good, you got a little bit further ahead than you should be, so they made you go back a step.
And put those back.
Now, the second time, it makes you start almost all over. And that's when the rubber hit the road there, because we were all impressed by our second playthrough.
Absolutely.
And then I said, okay, so it was an honest question. We could have ended the night.
Not just impressed. We were hooked, I think.
No, we were. I was very impressed.
We were very hooked.
And I said, "Well, what do you guys want to do? You know, it's 12:30 now, and you know, usually that's the 12 o'clock is usually dinner bell. That's what we call it." And I was fine. Nick was fine. You were fine. So I was like, all right. And then that's when we were in it.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because it's like
no, we can't talk about the third playthrough.
It's like Sebastian from Neverending Story when he puts down that sandwich. He goes, "No, we still have a long way to go because we're living this adventure now." So the third time we played through it, I mean, we played for 4 or 5 times now, and I think 6 is the max you can play through it. But the thing is, it got more in depth.
Yep.
Every time, and it was perfect. It was each time. You died. It came back with
a different scenario.
Different scenario.
Yep.
Different look at things, and it is funny because as you are dying or getting rid of, I mean, these are stories to tell.
Yeah.
But anyway, skipping ahead. The whole thing is everything. Oh, no. One of the things. This is one of the rules. It's not spoilers either. Is you have to pick up the card. You get to read it.
This is one of my favorite parts about
and then you put it down, but you can't read it out loud.
Right.
But then you can tell your friends what all said.
And so the thing was
and
that
what all you saw
your character had to go with someone. So you and Nick got to read your cards.
We got to read things together. We had to explain it to you.
Off by myself often. Yeah, and I had to rely on your interpretation. And I often, several times in the game, saw things and I'm like, oh God, this is going to be really important. But it's not possible to really memorize it and to repeat it perfectly.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the point. It's too difficult to know immediately why it's relevant, and B, any clues that you find are like, I don't know what to tell you about.
There's text and there's a picture, and you need to look at both a lot of the times.
Yeah, often.
And the thing is, the text doesn't say, look at this picture. It doesn't say that. Now sometimes
conversations and items you find, everything.
Sometimes text means nothing. Sometimes picture means absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And you won't, and to be honest, you won't really know because you're in a sane
and you don't know.
Gobbledygook that people speak to you is usually that. It's gobbledygook.
But you still got a mystery to solve, and it's great.
Or is it?
Yeah.
And so the game throws several red herrings in there. It throws...
That was what I wanted to talk about. Because the red herrings that are right off the bat, too, because...
They're great because you're going to be fooled.
Yes, in the opening salvo, they give you, in the opening salvo of clues that they drop
the most obvious red herring we should have seen coming.
Right.
We laughed
right off the bat. It was just made us laugh how silly it was. But then it was right there, and it was just so. It's clear that the designers were thinking, okay, what are people going to think when they do this the first time?
We know we're going to fool them this time.
Well, yeah,
so
we
now
got
how do we do
it? But that was what I loved about it. Right from the off, like it was a misdirection right at the very beginning, and it came back to haunt us later.
Yeah.
And the big laugh we got once we finished the game and we came back and we looked at it and we said, oh my gosh, look at this. This was what happened the very first time we played, and that was why it was so relevant, and it blew our mind.
Now another thing, and I forgot because I was rereading some of the cards. We were supposed to reread our message as we travel back in time again, the interruptions, the lost transmission, which is this is not a spoiler. This is the introduction to the gameplay. As we're going back in time, we can't hear the rest of the message.
Oh yes.
You can understand because you've played the game a couple of times. You can understand what they're telling you.
You understand what they're saying at the end of the message.
Yes.
So as you're being transported into the bodies at the beginning of the game, there's a garbled message that comes from Edie, from Halo, or Cortana.
This is the introduction.
It's like Cortana in Halo has been garbled. She's been corrupted, and she can't get her words out correctly.
Or either that, I thought we were just going back in time, and they just couldn't. The
maybe it's part of it too. But you're saying that you went back and read it again, and you understood what they were trying to say.
They're trying.
Oh my
You can put together a piece of. That's how smart this game is.
It's smart. There's clues on top of clues on top of clues, and it's really smart.
There's fakes. There's double fakes.
Yeah.
There's
big fakes.
And the thing is, the game gets you to where I can't trust anyone. But then I think because we felt like Bill Murray from Groundhog's Day, we started going crazy.
Or Tom Cruise
after
from
our
The Edge of
third or
Tomorrow.
fourth time to die, and said, you know what? Let's just do the opposite.
And
to
then,
be honest,
holy cow.
The opposite is sometimes the thing you think you shouldn't do is the thing you actually should have done to make it 1 billion times easier. But that's the thing, because they said, we've got them so paranoid, they're not going to trust a soul. But there were a few people we should have trusted, and we would have gotten so much farther.
Because they do that to you enough in the first time through with the quote-unquote obvious ones. They know just
enough.
Exactly.
They know just enough to put you on tense and say, okay, trust no one.
Yep.
But then that hurts you, and it makes it harder for you.
Yep.
And the thing is, now you have to bounce back and forth between, okay, who do I... The game now says, who do I trust? You can trust someone, and you'll get on the fast track. You can trust someone, and all they did was F with you, and you lost time.
Yep.
And that's it. I mean, that's it.
Because that's how the game wins, is that you run out of time, and then you run out of time again. And then
you have to rely on who do I trust?
Yeah.
And you think, I've got this game figured out, and they say, okay, this is probably what they're thinking now, so let's do this.
Yep.
It's a smart move. It's a smart move.
And I loved the mechanic about how if you die, you're not just out. You just have to wait for time to catch up to you again.
Time catches up to you. You get shot forward in the future a little bit.
Yeah, I died several times. Yeah. But I had to just...
One time we took turns round robin, and
it was pretty bad.
One game we took turns round robin.
It was pretty bad. But we never all died.
But this isn't a game where you're just going to... It's so hard you're dying all the time. Right. Most of the game, we were in the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were in the game.
We were. I died more than anybody, but I got shot forward.
Well, you were the one. I got
some bad dice rolls.
You were the one, yeah. But the thing was, though, the only time that we had to deal with death was that last run where we just took turns to die.
Yeah, we really did.
It was crazy.
But it shoots you forward in the future, and so your character can't move for 7 turns or something like that.
So, and this is where it gets kind of hairy. But I want to talk about it. If you like escape rooms and stuff, this is the game for you.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah,
this is the game
that came to my mind.
The game's really smart. It makes you make sure you memorize things. You have to pay attention to detail.
Absolutely.
Every word, every picture, every look.
And then some of it's just such a joke. It's great.
And then some of it's just a dumb joke. Some items you find you think they're worth nothing. This is nothing, and then you realize this is everything.
Yeah.
Some items you get going, this is something.
This is what it's all about.
And it's nothing.
Nothing at all.
It's nothing at all.
We got
you think it's significant
more than once by that.
Every
Way
time.
more than once. We got so excited.
I celebrated when we found one item that turned out to be completely useless.
Yeah. And just that alone would make the game a success. Like that moment to be able to do that one thing to us, to get us so excited and celebrating that we found and completed this puzzle, and we solved it and we figured it out, and it was pointless.
Like
that, just how great.
I loved it.
How great is that?
I love the big, because I remember we put it down, and I remember I could not believe it, and we all laughed. But it was just such a, I was like, wow.
Because we were screwed. Because that was it. We were screwed
we wasted
at that point.
So much time.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, a lot of stuff is worth pursuing because it does unlock the big thing.
Yeah.
But they have big clues that are just wasting your time.
So a cool thing that I had today is that my cousin Brad, who you know, whom I love, he texted me and he says, I've been thinking about making an alchemist inventor human to play for Dungeons and Dragons, like Data from the Goonies, he says. He says, I'm craving a good campaign. And this is what I wrote him back. I said, I feel you, bro. I played a board game last night at Matt's that blew my damn mind. Probably the best board game I've ever played. And it's a sci-fi, time travel, spooky horror kind of game. The problem is, once you've played it once, that's it. And I want to get it and be the narrator and the DM for you and Rachel and Kim and maybe a group of friends. And that's how I could see it. It's like it. And he texted me back and he says, is it like D&D? And I said, no. And then I wrote back, ish.
Yes, I said, it is.
Yes. Ish. And then I said, in a lot of ways, it is.
It's a
now that I think about it.
It's a there's a pre-programmed dungeon master, which we're the designers.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, how they understood. Now, hold on, I'm not done yet because I'm going to sum it all up. We're getting to the summation here.
Okay.
I want to talk about something I can't talk about. There's a big clue, obviously, at the end. Now, this is where you have to get like Sherlock Holmesy. It's not too bad, but the thing is, you have to. I mean, from Alpha Omega, you need to remember everything you said, and did for this whole thing.
Yep.
And if you understand it all, then you'll solve it. But it's just a bunch of kicking your head and going, what was said here? What was done here? Remember that second time we played? Remember that fourth time we played? Remember that first time we played? Remember that third time we played?
Mm-hmm.
What did we learn there?
What about when we went to that room?
You put all these clues together.
That was the other room that we were in.
You put all these clues together. But it's a puzzle within a puzzle within a puzzle. What I just told my friend just earlier before you came here, I was on the phone with him. I said, it's like trying to find a message from a decoder ring. But then when you finally put the
Be sure to
when you
drink your
finally get the
Ovaltine.
when you finally get the decoder ring to work,
Yeah.
now you hear Morse code. So now you got to just do,
Yeah,
you got
That's
to
a good
unpuzzle
point.
that.
That's a good
And
point.
then from there, then you're playing word jumble. So now you got to put, I mean, I just said it's just one puzzle
you're right.
within a puzzle. So you have to solve a puzzle. And so we sat there, and this is about 2:30 now.
This
and-
was about 2:30 in the
and
morning.
we're right there at the doorstep. We know it is. And so I don't know if there was not one word that was spoken that wasn't a cuss word at this point, because we were just so
We were pretty
irritated
frustrated.
that we gotten this far and we couldn't figure out what the F was going on. And then, I'm not embarrassed to say it, we tried to cheat.
I didn't.
Okay.
You
we
two
as a
got
group-
on your phones,
Yes.
and started looking up
So,
the clues and
but-
how to figure it out.
but I hate these people.
We've
I love them too, because
discovered
there's no spoilers.
there are no spoilers on the
There
internet,
are
kind of thing.
zeros. We're very pathetic at finding spoilers.
I wasn't trying, but there's
the
a lot of
only-
respect that people clearly have for
the
this game.
And the thing is, the only clues I could find were things we already knew. I was
Right.
like, we know that. They're like, look at this.
We're like, look at
And then
that.
I said, we
We
know
found
this.
that.
We know this.
It's right there.
I was just so mad. It's like, yes, but it means nothing.
Right.
It means nothing. And the thing is,
But-
how I equivalent this puzzle, I think I have the perfect analogy.
Okay.
3D pictures.
Oh, okay.
You're looking at something, it looks like a mess.
Sure.
But then someone comes up and goes, a sailboat.
I follow. Okay.
And you go, no, that's just a mess of a lot of pink, some blue, and some yellow.
No, it's a sailboat right there. Look.
No, it's a sailboat. Can't you see it? No, I see a mess of a. That's exactly what it is. You're looking at a mess, but then you have to relax, think back, and we had to take a step back. Is what we did.
Oh, we did.
Because when we were trying to put a square, peg through
In
a
a round
circle
hole, right.
for a round hole, and we realized, wait a minute.
We're trying too
And
hard.
so there was one eureka. Then
And
there was
then-
a second eureka.
from someone else. This
Yeah.
was one of my points
Yeah.
that I had for my notes that I wanted to make on this game, and this is the reason I loved it so much, is that you had a eureka moment, and then we would come back, and then we would hit, well, it's Morse code now, and then someone else would have a eureka moment. I was like, but wait a minute, what about the person we talked to like in the first time? And then like the third person would like, oh, but wait, that fits with this, and the fact that we
And the
layered
thing
on
is,
our ideas from
felt,
each other.
It felt like a Scooby-Doo, at the end of a
It
Scooby-Doo
so
episode.
did feel
while
like
we were
Scooby-Doo.
suddenly picking up on all these things we had learned and then said, wait, this. And then the best one was, like I said, we undid the decoder ring, but we couldn't understand the effing Morse code.
Right.
And I was like, why is it doing that? Why did it stop?
then we got
Why
more
did it stop?
frustrated.
And then I said, wait a minute. And I pointed to you
Yeah.
because you were the one that had said something way
earlier.
on.
I did.
In the thing you
First
went,
run.
And you said, that bothers me. And I remember I told you during the run, I said, well, obviously we've gotten past that. We already know what it was.
Yep.
So it doesn't
You
really matter.
dismissed it out of
no,
hand.
I dismissed it because I said, obviously we've already got whatever we need now because we supposedly had everything at that point.
Yeah.
And so I said, we don't need that anymore because whatever that clue was, we've obviously got it because we remember
You were
we
locked into
we
board
had
game
everything.
design at that
yeah,
time.
we had
Yeah,
everything.
we had everything unlocked.
So whatever that clue was, we don't need it because we have everything right here. It's not for that; it's for something else.
Yeah.
And so then when I was like, wait, and we said, and we're like, no way. Well, I remember we were screaming. This is
We were at 3:00 in the morning.
3:00 in the morning.
I'm
and
sure
then
there
we're
were
like,
people who were upset.
And then it's like when you're unlocking a safe and you're like, there's no way this is their code. When you think, could it be this code? You just get the bright idea.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And then
Combination I have in my luggage.
and then things click.
Yep.
When you unlock, and I mean, we dug through cards. We did dig through. You're not supposed to take cards with you, but we did just because we made sure we weren't missing anything.
Right.
Our memories were good, but we just dug through and instead of going to the rooms, we just went through the deck, because we just could. It was beating our head in, but it's not that hard. And then, it is. But once you stand back, relax your eyes, you can see the cell.
like the
too.
3D pictures.
And just like everyone else, it's like, I understand that you want them to see it for themselves. You can't force them.
Right.
They have to see it for themselves. They see. I mean, the only thing that they kept bringing was, did you do this? Did you do this? Do you remember this? And I'm going, yes, all of it, all of it. I've seen it all. I know it all. I have it all. Do you have this? Yes. Well, what? Well, what happens is it then gets you to the. And the other thing is, shockingly, when you think you've been everywhere, going through this game 5 times,
Then boom.
one last one.
Let's do it again.
And we're going, what is this? And then this is the game. Again, no spoilers. The game basically ends on, do you want to cut the red wire or the blue wire?
That's a good way of putting it.
That's exactly what it ends on.
Yeah.
Seriously. And it ends.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get a second shot if you make the wrong decision. Now, here's the deal, though. This decision is not as simple as you think it is. For us, it was 3 a.m, and we made a decision and ran with it. But someone should have stopped us.
No. Let's be very clear on this. I absolutely said don't dare cut the blue wire because here. Let me jump in. It's the writing in the game is excellent, up and leading you in this direction and changing your attention, like you were saying earlier about how it fools you into thinking that things are good for you or not.
Yeah.
But then we got to that moment and the red wire, blue wire choice, and the feeling and the emotion of the game.
We all agreed. It was 3 a.m. We all agreed the same thing, and that didn't take very long.
All right.
But what someone should have done, and I would have killed them, but what someone should have done is said, wait a minute, what if? Because we've been through the big screws before. What if? And we didn't, and by the way, we didn't know this choice was a game ender either.
No, we didn't.
Back then, we didn't know. But we said, what if you get all this way and it's one last screw? They would do that.
They would.
Because to us, the obvious choice was the blue wire.
To the blue wire.
And
which there is no blue wire in the game.
But then you could no.
This is totally a metaphor.
This is the metaphor completely. And then, but you think about it, anything that's that obvious, it has never been.
It's been a problem.
And
that was what I was trying to say. The writing leads you to believe that. Wait a minute.
And you're going. You could have argued the other point completely,
and it would have been valid.
And then our brains would have sat there, and we would have been here till now, still figuring out what wire we should cut. Now we didn't know the stakes were that high. I do remember we made a choice and died immediately.
Oh yeah,
which is really funny.
Which is great though.
But it's great because there's when you think about this, there's I say multiple choices. There are different doors you can take on this. So it's not just 2, but there are different doors you can take.
Well, I guess the point is that the metaphor we were trying to say is that there was a game.
It's the final
changing moment.
It's the final decision you have.
Yeah.
Door number 1, 2, and 3, I guess.
Sure.
The Price is Right, maybe something like that.
Yeah, that seems more accurate.
Because you have different areas you can go to. But what we didn't know the stakes were that high.
Right.
We knew it was the last one, but you know the stakes. We just thought you just
until after we finished the game, and then we decided to just read everything
over the other
that could have happened, and we were like, "Oh my gosh!"
So
we were this close to death,
but
and we had no idea.
You could have argued this. You could have argued any of these paths.
Would have been valid,
and you could have. But the thing is, the game makes you paranoid.
Yeah,
the game turns you into an insane
asylum
because you don't know what to trust. Everything has been turned around so much for you that we thought we could be distrustful of everyone. Then we had to be trustful, but then we had to go back to distrustful, but then we had to go back like, well, what's the game going to reward us for? Because every time the game knew what you were going to do.
Yeah,
the game knew.
The writers knew, and the game knew, and that's what's interesting to me too. Is that it felt like at the game was over, we felt like we had just been in a movie.
So
like we had just done a mystery movie ourselves.
Are you saying no, this is a trap, or yes, this is a trap?
Right.
What is the obvious choice? Because you can tell what you can tell, but then if I'm serious, if one of us would have played devil's advocate, it's like, guys, how many times have we been sure about something and been right,
so wrong,
and the answer would have been
so right.
0, 0. Okay.
Yeah.
One
time I was very right, and I got overridden by the group right early off, and I said, no, I'm not doing that, and they said, no, go ahead, and I said, okay, fine, and then I did it, and boom, insta death, and I was like, I told you, and I never let them forget it from the entire from go. I never let y'all forget that I told you so about that guy.
Funny.
But that was kind of our introduction to like, this could go very bad because that was just a
but the thing
decision.
is, though, after all the lessons you've learned, now you don't know what truth is anymore.
And so
the obvious decision becomes should have become questionable for us. But I think it was 3 a.m. I think that's what saved us.
Yeah, maybe it's part of it. You're right. Here's the thing, though, is I want to give this because I feel like people who are listening to this might immediately kind of dismiss it at this point because they're like, yeah, I've seen those movies before. You know, the guy who's relling the story, he goes crazy in the end. Or The Shining, you know, it's like Johnny's been a bad boy or whatever, you know.
Or we find out the bad guy isn't the bad guy.
The bad guy isn't the bad guy. Yeah, and the silly twists that people come to expect when we're watching movies that we're like, okay, I saw how this was going to end 20 minutes into it, and what is this crap that I just spent my money on? It's not like that.
And here's the game. Here's the deal. You're playing a game that knows you.
Does it though?
You don't know how many actions did it anticipate for us? How many times we go,
that's my point.
Shut up. They knew we were going to do that.
It is a great psychological trip.
So it's really well done. Now, the reason this, and I figured it out, why this separates itself from other Legacy games. Legacy games are one and done, as is this one. However, in Legacy games, this is what I don't like, you tear up cards.
What?
Yes, you have to tear up cards, or you put permanent stickers on the board.
Really?
Pandemic Legacy, you put permanent stickers. Risk Legacy, you tear the card up.
So there's a certain level of permanence to your
no longer
to your
can
decisions.
you use this. You must tear it off. It's out of the game completely.
That's heartbreaking.
So it makes you, or you must mark something on the board.
That feels blasphemous.
Well, yeah, but this is a Legacy, one and done.
Wow.
So, and that's what they've all done. That's what a lot have done. Or you crack open a seal. There are sealed envelopes.
Oh.
You crack open the seal. Once the seal's open, everyone can see it. There's the game called Gloomhaven has a lot of seals.
Sure.
You can play through it and not break open all the seals. That way, you want to play through it again, go through some of the side quests you didn't get. But once you've broken that seal, that's it. Anyone can see it. If it's still sealed, no one can see it.
Interesting.
And it only says break this if you.
But the allure is gone after that.
The allure is gone after that. So this one is a deck of cards.
It is.
Basically speaking, it's a deck of cards. Now, here's the thing. As boring as the board is, as boring as the pieces are, the artwork of the cards is all that exists in your life.
Is great.
Did you notice that? We didn't even look at the board. Remember, on putting the clues down at the end, we didn't even know there was a spot on the board at first because we weren't looking. We stopped looking at this board and we were looking at 4 or 5 cards.
Oh yeah,
that's
you're
all.
right.
That's all our life
You're
was.
Right. You're right.
Did you realize this?
No,
it wasn't
I didn't
a board.
know.
You don't need a board. It was our life was 4 or 5 cards.
Yeah.
That's what our life was.
That's amazing.
That's all we looked at. Can you think about that? It's small. It's a small world. It's beautiful.
Because the only other thing I was looking at were the cards, items I picked up that had a card that I could read and go back to.
The time tracks the board, but that doesn't matter.
That
doesn't matter.
It's like a number. Yeah, we died
we
anyway,
probably cheated and gave us as we rolled die. We hit that time number. We couldn't remember where we were at, so we may have gained or lost.
Pretty good.
Well,
that's what I loved about it.
We may have gained or lost a time here and there by accident.
Maybe one or two.
But the thing is though, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't that important to us.
No,
the board was. But those 4 or 5 cards that were laid down each room you go to, the cards lay out into a panoramic view.
Sure.
By the way, but that is your world.
But the great thing was that the decision making based on the artwork was evident from go, because we made a decision based on the artwork, because that's all you have to go with really, because you've got they lay down face down and then you have to choose, I'm gonna go to spend my time going here or here, and then your character had to go with someone, so we had to choose, okay, am I gonna spend time to go here or here, and then we flip over the cards and then we can't tell each other what we saw, and but the artwork on the backside influences you heavily based on what you're looking at, and the creepy narration that we had as a setup.
And we had a soundtrack, and I lowered the lights.
And yes, you did. You turned off the lights.
I turned off the. I have 2 big
because it was starting to get really creepy.
I got 2 big floodlights, but then I have one ceiling fan light. I left the ceiling fan light on, which dimly lit the room. Right. I never do that for game nights because I want it bright and cheery, but because I wanted to set the room.
The tone, and it was just kind of out of a joke.
And I'll be honest, it is a little bit of the people you play with.
Yeah,
because we had we had our characters. We laughed at a few things.
Yeah.
We laughed at each other because we're all kind of crazy. and then the music was good. The lighting was good. The dialogue was everything was good. You were in the dialogue. Everything was good.
And I'm going to go ahead and say it. And I wanted to write this for the podcast. Like, this was in my notes. Is I was just going to come out and say, that was the best board game experience I've ever had.
Yeah.
I could not. And I went home that night thinking, have I ever had so much fun playing a board game before? And I have not.
It's unbelievable. And so here's the deal. Legacy games usually make you tear up the board where you cannot play again. You cannot. It's possible. This one, yeah, you could. But the reason why you won't is because you've read the book. You know the surprises.
You've seen the ending.
You know how it works.
Right.
Okay. I was thinking about this today. If we were to sit on this for 5 years.
Totally.
6 years. Okay. We would still know.
With different characters. We would still know the big things.
We would still know the big things. But we would forget. Where's this?
Oh, yeah.
Where's that? Do we help this person? Is this the person we're supposed to help? No, is this the person we're not supposed to trust?
Oh, yeah, we would forget
We would
that.
know the big things, but we'd forget some of the details, which would be fine. But at the same time...
And you've got enough characters to choose from
to be a different playthrough. Yeah, we all agreed with this, too. Oh, yeah, because there's some things we could not do
like
because
you were
we didn't
saying
have the right
earlier.
characters.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we didn't do.
There's 2 characters that we needed to...
Yeah.
And we would have gone on a different path,
Yeah,
too.
totally different path.
Same areas,
I can remember things right off the top of my head that we never did, ever, in the movie.
No, you're right.
See, listen to me. I'm comparing it to a movie
yes.
that we lived through.
It does feel like you lived through it.
It really does.
It's weird to say that you lived through a cylinder white piece on the board, but you did. And the thing is that when it's all said and done, it's like a great book. You know the ending, but you read that book again.
That's a good analogy. I like that.
Every one of us, we know the twists, we know the turns, but every one of us said we would be a fly on the wall and go through this again with someone, another group.
Oh my gosh, yes. Instantly.
I would, and I even said, you said you'd DM it, I would too. But I would also, if they wanted me to, I would be a silent partner.
Yeah.
And go along with the group, but they would tell me what to do. I could do my own roles.
Isn't there a character that's kind of like that though? The
there
lady?
is. There's one character, but you know what I'm thinking about? I'm thinking that's the reason she's created.
Because of the person who's played it before and wants to keep playing it?
Yes, without being much help.
Because she's not. She's not.
Yes.
She's kind of a useless
character. We were laughing
character.
about it. There's one with no special ability or no deficiency either, but just kind of like...
Just sort of there.
I was like, why?
And we kind of joked about it, but I bet that's what it is.
So if you invite your friends, you have someone who can't... I mean,
and
they're
you can
there.
still,
They're an extra body.
play the game
They're
with
an extra
them.
body, but they're not really going to benefit anything.
Right.
You're not going to benefit from them. What do you think?
That's very cool.
I do think they created that character
genius.
for that.
And that,
I was talking
that
to why would they
flies in
create
the
a character?
face of what your problem with, and my problem with legacy games, too.
Yeah.
That's what you were getting at, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like, because I hate that. I didn't know that about legacy games. I just found that out. I didn't know you had to tear up cards. I didn't know you
have to tear up cards. You have to mark the board.
manipulate your board and destroy it. That's crazy.
Well, because it's... And a lot of them do like 30 plays max, 20 to 30 plays, and then you're done. And they say, hey, how many times are you going to play one of these games? You're going to play it 20, 30 times? Yeah, if I love it, I'm going to play it that much. But the thing is, though, they said the price is, I think it's called price per play or something. What they call it. Meaning, if you paid $100
so you
bucks
got
for a
enough
game,
entertainment
and you
out of
paid
it.
100 times, you paid $1 per game. Every time you play the game, you put down a $1 bill.
I see that reasoning too.
So did you, what games you've gotten your money's worth out of? You know, because every time you sit down and play a game, you cut the cost down of what what you paid per cost.
Sure.
So like
subjective.
Twilight Imperium paid for itself a billion times.
Clearly,
over. I played that thing a billion times, and probably now it's $5 a game, maybe 4, maybe 3. But then the thing is, you paid $5 a game for 5, 6 of your friends to have the best time in the world.
Right.
And the thing is, though, that's price per play is what they talk about. So for those legacy games, they make sure to give you plenty of rolls through. What Time Stories does is it gives you a book, it lets you read through it. And even if you, by the way, even if you fail completely, which is a grand possibility.
It certainly is possible.
If you do, it even says at the end, okay, at this point, you probably already know what you did wrong. You probably know how to do it.
But
so just play through it and have fun.
Go ahead and have fun and do it.
Have fun.
Yeah.
And the thing is, though, I was like, I think that's what that character was created for.
That's a good point.
Because you can be in there, but without spilling any of the beans. And remember, you're an annoying character. Right. Remember, your character is just annoying.
Yeah.
They're just annoying. So you could play that person, play that character, and be totally fine with running it because you're doing some help, but you're not a big help.
That's another good point then too. That with the legacy games, like, let me ask you this: is there anything else that has like a save state like this one does? That's the other thing I wanted to bring up.
There's a great save state inside the insert box.
The board
which
itself
I was shocked.
wasn't that great. But the insert box holds all the tokens, etc. Has numbered areas.
It'll hold your tokens,
yeah.
your items, your player count, where you were on the
because it can be a long playthrough to get through it all the way.
6 hours.
It took us 6 hours, and it's what we read it. It says recommended 120 minutes or something like that. It was
I think 90 minutes per round is what they said. But to be honest, some of those. But that's when you're playing with 4 players. It would have taken us 6 hours.
That makes sense. And so, but the point is that you can call it mid game, and then you have have the option to place your tokens and your items and everything in the insert board and quote unquote save your game. And it reminded me so much of like the gold cartridge from the Nintendo days that Zelda, because The Legend of Zelda was the first game where you could save to the disc kind of thing. You know, that was a big deal. Because Super Mario Brothers, you fire it up, you blow in the cartridge or whatever, and you had to start all over. Zelda changed the whole game with that. And then, kids today will never struggle. But then this board game has a similar feature like that, like a save your game and here's where we are kind of thing.
And here's the reason.
Do other legacy games not have that? Like games that take a long time? I'm not the expert in
a lot of the legacy games.
That's
There's a billion of them, but the ones I've seen and the ones I've heard about,
not like that.
Gloomhaven's a big one. Pandemic Legacy is a big one. Okay. And Risk Legacy was the first one to ever do it.
Oh.
And those are like you can't resell this game. It's done. It's done.
Okay.
And price per play is there. Price per play is there because
there's value.
If you played it, you're paying $3 a game, or no less than that. You're paying, I can't remember. It's like $2 per game, and that was a good deal. Great price per play.
Yeah.
But the thing is, with this one, you could come back to it, but at the same time, all three of us said we'd bring a different group in there.
Heck yeah.
And play it with them.
And be so excited to do it.
And be so excited for it again. Because
I would love to do that.
Because it's a great experience. It's a great thing. So, even if you don't like board games.
Really, truly.
The look at this looks awful. But if you like, here's the deal: if you like escape rooms, you can't do that right now during the pandemic.
It's a good point.
If you loved escape rooms and puzzles and clues and stuff, you should play this. If you're into D&D, you should play this.
That's what I was going to go. Because if you were pitching this to me, like if you love puzzles and mysteries and stuff, I would have turned this podcast off and be like, I'm done. I'm not playing that. Right. I'm not spending. How much was it? Do you remember how much the base game was now?
I don't know. It's like $40 or.
It's not outrageous. It's not outrageous, but
average cost. But for a game
I do.
Size.
But I would not at all be sold on a game that I don't like escape rooms necessarily. I don't like puzzles. I don't like puzzle games.
Those aren't board games.
No, I totally understand what you're saying, but the puzzle mechanic of it all is very similar sort of thing, but that doesn't hook me at all. Like even video games, I can really love like the artwork and everything about a game, but when it gets to the puzzles crap, I'm like, oh, don't just tell me what it is. I don't care if I figure it out. And like the Tomb Raider games, they throw these puzzles intermixed in with action sequences, and the Legend of Zelda games kind of do that too. And I just don't care about that. I want a good story and I want a good time.
Yes.
This game, despite the puzzles and almost because of the puzzles, like it makes it a good story and a good time. It really totally turns the whole mechanic on its head.
It's amazing.
It really is a unique experience.
It really is amazing. And to be honest, you're shortchanging yourself.
How so?
If you don't play it.
Oh yeah.
It's an experience. Whether you like escape rooms, whether you like Dungeons and Dragons, RPG, even if you like board games, you don't like
everyone
Legacy.
would get a kick out of this. I can't think of anyone who wouldn't like it.
And you can set it away for years later and then bring it back out. Again, you'll know the ending, but the path to get there will be foggy.
Just the fact that we've done like a nearly hour-long podcast on this like the next day.
Without
and we're
spoilers.
So excited. And without spoilers.
Because this could be 2 hours with spoilers. And the thing is, those are just memories that you'll just have, just like a RPG game. After you finish an adventure, you have memories you'll have forever. And so it's really incredible, and we just wanted to talk about it. And we almost started at 3:30 in the morning, but yeah.
No, we did not. Let me be clear, because Matt was so dumbfounded at the end of the game.
Man.
He sat there at the table. He didn't even say goodbye to his guests as we left. We were like, "Okay, Matt, we're leaving now. Bye." And he's still at the table, like holding his head in his hands.
Like, wow.
Just stunned at how good it was, and how much fun, and what a great experience
because
it was.
All the things I was experiencing afterwards, the characters, the repeats, how the game had guessed you, and how we thought at 3 a.m. we thought, let's all make this decision, but yet no one said, "Whoa, guys!"
All the high points we've covered in this podcast, you were having happen to you in a 5-minute span after the game was over, and then we collected our things and left. And I don't even think you looked up and knew we were gone.
I think the biggest fallout moment from the table for all of us was unlocking that third puzzle
Of course.
The final
one
part,
where
the
we
third part of it,
slowly put it together.
where we had it all together. We're missing just one piece left.
But we
and then
stacked on our
finally
eureka moments one at a time.
Yeah,
with,
and
from
then the
among
final
each other.
eureka moment hit.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh my!
We all stood up from the table and like raised our hands and like
could not
out.
believe it. Could not believe it.
It was amazing.
And that's the reaction you'll get. So Time Stories is.
I think regardless of who plays this, that I would expect that from just about everybody that played it. I don't
see. The thing is,
you know what I would love to hear
with Brad. Yeah. I want to be that lady. Play with Brad.
I would love to hear people's comments on YouTube about if they've played this, and if they didn't like it. I want to know why.
I do have a small board. I mean, I do have board game people that watch the show.
Well, if they've done this, I really want to know if they don't like it and why they wouldn't like it.
If you've done it, if you didn't like it, let us know. If you did, let us know. But please, no spoilers in the
comments. Please be respectful of that.
I will delete spoilers.
Yeah.
Anyway, amazing game.
Fantastic. Loved it. Want to do it again?
Yeah.
So there are like 20 of them at this point, right?
I'll talk to you about it later. It's amazing. But anyway,
there's more of them, and we're going to play more.
There's 8 expansions, is what I found out. There's a billion fan expansions. It was 3 in the morning. It was 3:30 in the morning.
Sure.
Everything looked
but
like.
But there are at least 8 more times we can do something like this. At least.
Yes.
Officially. Yes. 8 of them.
7 official.
That's fantastic. I'm so excited to do the next one.
All right.
And we will review the next one on a future Saturday
morning.
Samoflange.